Lately, I've been seeing a lot of conversations around the importance of a village, and I think a lot of people talk about wanting a village, but the conversation I feel that is not hard enough is how to be part of that village. Somewhere along the line, I think we all felt this happen, even though we couldn't name it at the time. Community became something we consume rather than something we create. You see, we want the check ins, we want the meals, we want to be held, we want to be supported. But the cost of building that, the inconvenience, the time it takes to show up before someone even asks, I feel like that part got negotiated away slowly. And in today's topic, I want to be discussing that. Well, I make some strawberry shortcake scones because a friend gave me this beautiful bowl of strawberries. I mean, they were in packs, but these beautiful strawberries as a gift. And I think in itself, it's a sermon. So let's get started. Last weekend, I went to visit my friend who is expecting her first child, which is so amazing. And you know how it is, well, for those who have been pregnant or fathers who have had wives who have had kids, in those final weeks of pregnancy, this particular kind of exhaustion sets in. It's both physical, mental, and emotional. And it's just basically the weight of knowing that everything is about to change and you can feel it coming, but there's nothing you can do about it, right? Because you just have to wait for the baby. Babies like to take their time. They have their own timing, which is a bit different from ours in a good way. So basically, my friend and I went over to another friend of mine. We went over to this friend's house to cook and made chicken pie that morning because I knew we're both going to be, leaving the house early and having to arrive there. I didn't want my friend, my pregnant friend, to worry about, hosting us or having something for us to eat before we start cooking. So I had made this chicken pie and taken them there, which we all ate while we were cooking. We went over, we cooked, we stocked the freezer with soups, stews, basically anything you can warm up at 2 a.m. when the baby has been crying for an hour and nobody has the capacity to think. We were just, three people in the kitchen. Her husband also helped out with, helping us bring out the stuff we needed. But basically, just three women in the kitchen making food for a season that had not yet arrived. And the beautiful part, this is where the strawberries come in, is that when we were leaving, she and her husband had gone to the farmer's market, the day before, and they handed us these beautiful packs of strawberries. And she was like, "Oh, I got so many at the market, and I just kept some for you. Please take them." And I was like, "Of course I did. I will." I took them because I love strawberries, and my son loves strawberries too. And on my drive home, I kept thinking about the exchange and how simple but profound it was because I've been thinking about communal life lately, and I think I've come to appreciate it even more since my pregnancy and having a baby. Because my second friend who followed me, she was really there, she was present, she helped me pick out baby clothes when I was exhausted and I didn't know, like, oh, how many onesies do you need? How many um stockings, how many mittens? There's just a lot that goes into preparation for a baby. And she just called me up without even asking. She was like, "You know what, this weekend we're gonna go baby shopping." And she helped me pick out those outfits in such a way that I found less unbearable. It made that part of my checklist very easy to handle and take it off. And I've been using those items. I found those items to be just the exact amount I needed, and I've been using them since. So imagine if I didn't have someone to guide me through that process. And I mean, I have friends who have showed up for me in so many ways. Some made blankets, some sent food. You see, community life was something I worried about when I was relocating to a new country. And because I had built most of my friends back home, and moving here, I have now been able to build a new community, which I really appreciate. I've been thinking about, well, communal life has become so hard. And I don't think it's because people are selfish, even though that's part of it. I think it's because modern life was deliberately designed to make us self sufficient. Every system, every convenience, every on demand service is built around the premise that you shouldn't need anyone. You see, we have groceries delivered on an app, meals in a box, community in codes, through a screen. None of these are bad, but quietly they trained us out of the reflex to reach out to people when we need help. We stop practicing need, and when you stop practicing need, you also stop practicing generosity because generosity only exists in response to something real. And then there's the busyness. We wear it like a badge. I've just been so busy. It's become the universal currency of importance, the proof that our life matters. But busyness is also a wall. It keeps people out while making us feel productive for keeping them out. You see, social media gave us a version of community that cost us almost nothing. We can observe people's lives, react to their milestones, but never really show up, never once cook a meal, never once sit with someone in their discomfort. And we mistake that for relationship, but it's just not the same thing. So in my bowl now, I'm going to mix up the dry ingredients. I have my flour in. This is my baking powder, 1 tablespoon. Um, my sugar, I'm going to keep some leftover for, just to sprinkle at the top, and salt. The recipe calls for half teaspoon of salt, but because I'm using salted butter, I'm going to use a quarter teaspoon of salt instead. Just so it's not too sweet. So once I have this mixed in, I'm going to go in with the butter. I want to say something from my faith here because I think it's too important to leave out. Scripture doesn't treat community as an optional add on to the Christian life, it's structural. We are knit together, that's the language used. Not loosely associated, not following each other online, knit, interdependent, each part bearing the weight that another part cannot carry alone. Ecclesiastes 4 puts it plainly: two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him who is alone when he falls and has not another to lift him up. That's not poetry about friendship. That's architecture. It's describing how human life was designed to function. And when we opt out of that design, when we privatize our struggle, privatize our joys, privatize our kitchens and our time, you're not just missing out on something nice, you're living outside of what we were made for. Showing up for someone is an act of alignment. It's bringing your life into agreement with the way God designed humans to live. So, what does this actually look like? Because I think we can agree on the philosophy and still have no idea what to do when Monday morning comes. So, let me be practical for a moment. Being a villager means you show up before you're asked. That's the hardest part. Because waiting until someone asks means until they've exhausted every other option, swallowed their pride, and finally admitted they can't manage alone. By then, the window of easiest help has already passed. You cook when someone doesn't need food yet. You call when things seem fine. You show up on an ordinary Tuesday, not just on the hard days. Because the ordinary Tuesdays are what build the trust that makes the hard days bearable. It also means absorbing inconvenience without making it a gift you hold over someone. The moment you say, after everything I did for you, you've revealed that it was a transaction, not a contribution. Genuine villagership is given freely, or it's not just a village at all. It's commerce. And here's what I want to say to those of us who take our time seriously, who are intentional about productivity, about where our resources go. It is true. Your time is your most non renewable resource. Where you spend it is the truest budget to keep. And spending it on people, investing it in the unglamorous work of showing up. It's not inefficiency, it is the highest return available to you, the compounding interest of human trust. Okay. So the dough is not meant to be sticky to touch, but I think the strawberries I have incorporated in make it a little bit sticky. But the dough itself is, oops, I think this one is falling apart. Let's do a little more flour. I don't want to knead it too much. So I'm meant to cut this into. Oh, okay. I think that looks good. So I think I saw another recipe that says if you want this to turn out really well, you should probably chill it in the fridge for a while. So I think I'm going to do that because I did a lot of kneading and the temperature of my house is a bit warm because I have a baby. And so I'm going to put this in the fridge to chill a bit and then I'll bring it out and carry on from there. There's something I want to say about the season my friend is walking into. New motherhood is, in many ways, the archetype of uncertainty. You have read and planned and nested and frozen the soups, and then the baby arrives, and none of your preparations quite covers what you actually encounter. I had it chilled here. So, oh, it's actually a lot better. It's a lot firmer than it was earlier. The village doesn't remove the uncertainty. It doesn't make the 3 a.m. feeds easier or the identity shifts less disorienting. What it does is ensure that no one faces the unknown alone. And that is not a small thing, that is, in fact, everything. The village is built in the waiting, in the ordinary faithfulness of people who decided quietly, without announcement, that they would show up again and again and again. The oven just went off, so this is the moment of truth. Let's see how this turns out. Hmm. Honestly, from the outside, I think this looks good. It's a bit browner than I would expect, but it actually looks good. Actually, a bit proud of myself. I forgot to use parchment paper, so that's, and I think the reason was to avoid the bottom from browning. So I messed up there. My bad. I don't have a cooling rack, so I'm using my cutting board as the cooling rack. While these cones were baking, I was thinking about, just this whole village idea and about how much of what we long for is already available to us. Because you see, that village is not gone, it didn't disappear. It just stopped being practiced, and all it takes is for just one person to reignite that fire, to start practicing it again. One person who brings the meal without being asked, one person who calls on the Tuesday, who shows up and stays just a little longer. And like I said, I'm not saying this because you need them to repay the good, but I'm saying this because you understand what it means when people do these things for you. You understand what you would have needed in those moments and just be there for people. Because at the end of the day, the village you want is already there. It's just waiting for you to show up. So now that these have cooled off, I think I just need to sprinkle, rather glaze it with, put my glaze on. But let's see. I think I should have used 2 cups of flour of icing sugar because my glaze now is too watery and it's just sliding down. This scones turned out really, really nice and I absolutely love it. If you notice, one is missing from the bunch, and that's because my husband and I tried it out and it's fantastic. It's not perfect like anything in life, but it's just great. For a first time, I think I did well, if I do say so myself. So if this conversation resonated with you, please share it with someone. And this time, it's not about the algorithm. It's not because I want to have more views, which would be nice. I mean, you could like this as well. But basically, you're telling them, I thought of you and I felt this video will resonate with you too. So it's all part of, I mean, sharing is all part of being a villager. And if this is your way of doing that, go ahead. Why not? So I'll see you next time. And until then, make sure you take care of someone, be a good villager, and remain steady. Bye.